Okay, so this is how to push short to a site on Dust 2. First thing I want to talk to you about is the danger areas as you're pushing into short up these stairs. And what I mean by danger areas are places you want to look straight away to see if the enemy are there. So the most common places on the site is this corner here, which is called Goose. You usually have someone peeking over this box on the site, which is another danger area. Sometimes you'll have a guy with his head popping here, and I'll show you that in more depth in a moment, but it'll be on this ramp and you'll just be exposed to his head. So they're the three main danger areas on site for A. But there are some danger areas you want to think about before you should even look there. And as you come up the stairs, the first one you should think about is this corner here. Because if there's a guy crouched in that corner and he's tucked in, and you're just running up here and you're worrying about Goose and you're thinking about it, do they have an AWP, whatever, and you're not thinking to look here, that's a real spot that catches a lot of people out. I've been caught out there sometimes. So you need to come up and check there straight away. And another spot can also be crouched behind these bales or these bales. And when the CTs are crouched behind those bales, they can be pretty hard to see, especially when you're trying to move at a fast pace and you've got your teammates in your ear shouting push, 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 when you're running up here and you're so focused on pushing to the site that you forget that there's three danger spots that you should be thinking about before you even peek around this corner. So you always want to check those three spots first. Corner, bales, bales 2. Okay, and when you're checking bales 2, here, make sure you don't creep too far out and give the guy at Goose a chance to kill you. So let's discuss how you should be approaching the pre-fire situations at bomb site A from short. The first place you need to be aware of when you're talking about pre-firing is right here. And the reason I say that is because 9 times out of 10 the CTs, if they've gone full buy, are going to have an AWP lingering somewhere here around Goose. Sometimes he's going to be sitting around here watching long, using this kind of crate as a barrier and making sure no one gets in the pit. Other times, especially if they've planted for long and someone on CT is already in the pit, you'll have a guy sitting here waiting to take short. And let me talk to you about this, because this is a... It's not a simple pre-fire to execute, but it's a simple pre-fire to understand, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So the first thing you want to do when you're talking about pre-firing into Goose here, and you know there's a CT here, what I like to do is you always need a marker, okay? Maybe you've watched some of my other videos, I know Mirage will talk about this. When you want to pre-fire somewhere, you should always have a marker, okay? And what I mean by that is you're not just going to run around the corner and shoot randomly like this, guessing, where should my crosshair be? Should it be here? I'm just running and spraying at the minute. What I mean is, you need to have something to aim at before you peek, so you know your crosshairs at a good level, and you know that when you land here, the crosshair is on the enemy, okay? So this is what I like to do for this peek. First thing, stand as far back from this corner wall here as possible. And the reason I'm telling you to do that is because if you hug the wall too close, your model is more exposed to them because of their perspective, okay? So if you're further back, they'll have less of a chance to see you. Now my marker, when I'm peeking or pre-firing into Goose here, I use this bomb site A sign. And the way I do that is I line up the horizontal line of my scope with the top of the A, just here. So I'll start around the corner here, and I remember where I'm peeking to, which is Goose. So I line up the crosshair and fire, okay? And when I'm doing this, I'm moving across with A, so I'm strafing left, yeah? And as soon as I'm strafing left, and I can see just enough here, or even here potentially, I'm hitting D. And what that does is it instantly stops me in my track, and it means that the shot, when it comes out, my body's completely still, and the shot's going to be 100% accurate. Like this, okay? Because what happens is, when some people pre-fire, they'll hold A to strafe and just let go and stop. And the first problem with that is you're very slow, okay? When you're peeking and you're using A and D, to strafe the peak, you're much faster because you'll come to a sudden stop and you'll surprise the enemy. Whereas if I'm holding A and I just let go, I kind of there's almost like a slide carryover effect in CS:GO when you move. Only a split second, but it's split seconds that make the difference in situations like this. And the second point, as I just mentioned, really is when I'm holding A and then D, I come to a dead stop, and that dead stop means the shot will always go where I'm aiming. If I'm aiming like this and I hold A and stop, there's a much longer time window that I have to wait before I shoot for it to be accurate. Okay? So let me talk you through that very quickly and summarise for you. Stand back from this wall, nice and far back. Line up the horizontal line with the A, peek and fire, okay, with the A and D. So you need to practice that because it can take a little bit of getting used to using A and then D. So strafing to the left and then hitting D to come to an instant stop. So that's how you pre-fire to goose on short. Okay, so I've just told you what to do about pre-firing goose. Now let me tell you what to do about pre-firing when there's a guy in this position, which is also really very common. If there isn't someone goose, you can bet your life that there's going to be someone here if the CTs have set up properly. So, usually they'll be crouching, but you'll always be able to see some part of their body here. Okay, so we're going to be aiming for this kind of area. So the first thing you want to do, like I said before, is you want a marker. And you want to step back as far as you can from the wall that you're peeking around. And you want a marker. The marker I like to use when I'm aiming at this area, there's two horizontal cracks in the wall with the texture. Okay? And these actually line up perfectly. Especially this one. So you scope in on it. And you see where my crosshair lands. Bang on the money. And it's the same principle as before. So you scope up, and you strafe to the left, and hit D straight when you want to land the shot. So you're getting that instant stop. The AWP shot will be 100% accurate if you're pulling off the strafing properly, and that is how you pre-fire onto A site. So to summarise quickly, stand back from the wall, line up with this kind of crack in the wall, which is what I like to use, scope up, and peek. Okay, and the last one I want to talk to you about is if we've got a CT here. And this can be kind of problematic because really the only part of him that's going to be on view is his head. But if you're peeking this corner, he'll pretty much be able to see the top half of your torso and your head. So we're talking about aiming for the guy here. So, the marker. The marker for this one is a little bit more tricky because it's actually in your peripheral vision. Okay, so this is where we want the crosshair to land exactly. Now look at what my horizontal line and my scope is lining up with. Where these boxes meet, okay, where they're stacking. There's a line here. And you'll see, when I'm on this line, and now I peek, that's the exact spot that their CT is going to be. Because it's at that level on the ramp that his head will be peeking here. Okay? So once again, look at where my horizontal scope's lined up. Right on this line where the two boxes meet. And you want to peek, so you're looking at this area. Okay? So you stand back, line up, and shoot. And that's how you push short with pre-firing.